Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy 9:30. It is Cotton Cuts time. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. And good morning, Instagram. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are exhausted here at Team Cotton Cuts. Cheryl and I went to Chicago and got back like after 10 o'clock last night. So we are living on coffee and caffeine today, but that's okay because we've got a fantastic show for you today. Today is, I believe the kids call it an AMA show. It's an Ask Me Anything show. And so after we go over all the updates of everything that's going on, it's a great opportunity to ask me literally any question you might have. I have a list of about 10-ish or here or so that were submitted ahead of the show. We'll go through all of it. I've got nothing but time. All right. So we aren't going to start with cottoncuts.com/live like we do every show because that's the entire show. But for next week, if you would like to submit a question, perhaps you're watching this and someone asks a question and it triggers a question for you afterwards, just go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit a question that I will answer next week. Paula has these sitting on the desk when I sit down. I don't see them ahead of time. And who knows, we could all be surprised and learn something new together. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. All right. Don't forget to stay to the end of the show. We will have a giveaway for a $25 gift cards to the Cotton Cut Shop. And for that, the question we've picked for this week, I believe, comes from one of you guys. So to see if your question was selected for the end of the show, you got to hang with us till the end, gang. And don't forget to give StreamYard your permission so we can see your name, especially important as you guys submit questions. Like I see Beth Whelan just asked a question. I will happily get to that. Paul is going to cue those. And so that way we can go through the ones that are submitted and we'll come back to all these questions you guys have. All right. So what is happening in the shop this week? This week is like my favorite week of the year. So this is our Get Caught Up week. So this week we're doing all of those projects that we've had to kind of push into the corner because we had to get shipments out and we had to get caught up and we had to do all the good things that we need to keep everything going out to you guys as quickly as possible. So this week we have been making bolt ends. So we have bolt ends in the shop. We have new remnants. I have a couple of remnants here. So if you guys love our remnants, you have to get into the shop now because we just are uploading new batches as we speak. We are doing those flyaway strip kits and the flyaway string kits that we showed you guys a long time ago. We've got a couple of them here and we're doing them a little differently now. But so these are our flyaway strip kits and our string kits are going to be up in the shop. You guys, we are getting a lot of those things done as we prepare, as we wrap down on Wild West. We start bringing up under the sea and we get flyaway to a kind of a stable point. So you guys, we have a lot of things that are going to be coming out. I know I kind of dropped 3 big announcements on you guys on Sunday night with fabrics and with backing and with quilts in a box, but this is the phase, guys, where we're doing a lot of cleaning out and it feels so good because these are all projects that we see, but we know we have to prioritize getting stuff out to you guys. And it is just a great, like I have a whiteboard and I listed out 25 things we need to get done and we're just crossing them off and erasing them as the week goes. And it feels awesome. Now on that, Tim Holtz Green ships. It ships today and it ships tomorrow. You guys, we are on track. We are on time. That Tim Holtz is all die cut. It is on its way out the door to you guys. And that program is back on track. We could not be more excited. It is green this month. I don't think I have samples of that. That's okay. That's going to be in your guys' mailbox faster than it's here. So that's fantastic. Next month is teal for Tim Holtz. And those fabrics are a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to play with and put together as we were developing our program. We also have Java and Chroma are going to be shipping tomorrow as well. So we showed Java before. I'm going to pop it up here again. This is Mom's favorite Merlot. I know you guys know I like a good wine. I'm a big fan of Merlot. That's a good kind of early summer type drink, but this is what the fabrics are. They're a lovely assortment of 12 fat quarters of batiks. And then we also have Chroma, which this month is teal. Guys, this is one of those colors I unfortunately cannot see, but here's teal. And so this is what the Chroma Super Pops are going to look like this month. That they are awesome and amazing. And then Modern Maker ships next week. And so these fabrics are a ton of fun. I have a couple here to show you guys. But this is Botany from Allie K from Moda. We actually just saw the Moda booth yesterday while we are at H&H. And so it has like, I love it when we pop in fun prints like this because it breaks up the big focal prints very nicely. And so it gives you guys something to work with. We saw sessions at H&H I'm going to get to in a minute where we talked about if you're putting 3 fabrics together, you usually want a light, a dark, and something that connects the two. And I like that with the Modern Maker program, it definitely gets to like light, dark, something in the middle, but also large scale, medium scale, small scale, because it would be horribly unhelpful and unuseful if we sent you 3 large scale prints or 3 small scale prints. And so with these fabrics, we do like to mix them up. Everyone's going to get the same botany collection, but the 3 prints will be different for everybody. And so like we said, we mix the scale, we mix the colors, and we like to keep it fun and interesting and exciting for all of you guys. All right. So that leads into platinum. You guys, platinum has doubled month over month. You guys are loving this option of being able to get an email at the beginning of the month and say, I want Modern Maker, I want Java, I want Chroma, I want Classic. You guys are loving this platinum program. I cannot thank you guys enough. It was one of these ideas we had and we went with it. And you guys, I'm happy that you guys are loving it as much as we want you guys to love it, because it makes it interesting around here. And it really emphasizes the fact that no 2 quilters are cut from the same cloth. I say that pretty frequently, but everyone gets their own choices. And say, for example, you are not a pink and a green fan. I don't want to send you fabric that you're not going to love. Like, that goes completely against everything we're trying to do. So if you don't want this collection, that's fine. Then perhaps you can go into our classic fabrics or any other options that we might have out there for you. All right, I'm checking in some comments. Merlot wine with black, white, and gray. Yes, that's a fantastic color combination. Hello, Joyce. Can't wait for Modern Maker. You're in the platinum. Yes, Deb, that is a fantastic program to be in. And Erin is saying she's building up her thread and then she's going to go into platinum. I love that. Once we do Chroma, right, you get 3 spools in different colors throughout the year. By the time you get to the end, you have a fantastic thread stash to be able to do lots of projects with. All right. Don't forget that the Earth Day Challenge is still ongoing. So we started that a couple weeks ago. I think we shipped over 100 of those packets out to you guys. I cannot wait to see these projects start to come together. Just as a reminder, you have a little bit more than a month to get your project done. And then our online voting will be June 6th through June 10th. So that's coming in about a month's time. I like it when we put projects like this in between mysteries, because I know so many of you like the mystery programs, and this gives you something to do while we wait anxiously for Under the Sea. Those colorways are on the website now. We're going to start naming them next week. And so I know we've talked a little bit about Under the Sea. Is it going to be sea animals? Is it going to be coral? Is it going to be islands? What could it possibly, islands aren't really under the sea. I don't think that was ever really on the table, but what we're going to do is we are going along in I gave you a hint at the reveal with my Poseidon challenge. And so we are doing kind of Lost City of Atlantis-ish type things. So definitely take a look at the naming options. They'll be in the Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group. Next week, you guys get to pick the colorway names. We stopped naming them a long time ago. I think there's a question coming up about how we name the colorway challenges, but ultimately, we come up with a pool of names and you guys pick the best name to the best colorway. So you guys get to pick the names of these. And it's something we've done. And we love that you guys get to pick it. It makes you guys part of the process and it makes us all feel super fantastic. I see lots of people working on the Earth Day quilt. You guys, Erin, you still have a month. A month is a ton of time. If I can convince my kids that 5 minutes to get out the door is a ton of time, a month is plenty of time to get this project done. Okay, talked about the remnants, the Boltons, the Java, the Chroma. All right, Under the Sea. One thing new that we are doing, and I want you guys to mark your calendars for Friday, May 16th. That is next Friday. So Netflix is dropping their new short form documentary, The Quilters. And so it follows a group of quilters inside a prison here in the state of Missouri. And it gives their behind the scenes story about how they use quilts to connect as a means of expression inside the prison. And then the quilts are then subsequently donated to children's charities. And so we saw, you guys, if your Facebook feed is like mine, this is all over. So what Cotton Cuts has done is we've created a watch party. It's a Facebook event in our Cotton Cuts main Facebook page. And what we're going to do is we're going to aggregate comments there. So I plan on watching it next Friday at 10 o'clock. That's when the event officially starts. And so you guys can log in and comment with us, and we can watch it together, and we can kind of see what we're all learning together and how inspired we are by the creativity of these men that are choosing to do better with the time that they have together. And so mark your calendars. Friday, May 16th at 10 o'clock, an event has already been created in Facebook. All you have to do is say you're interested in it, and you'll get reminded when it comes, and we'll keep all of our comments there. Feel free to get your popcorn, get your peanut M&Ms if that's what you prefer, and join us for the watch party. Okay. I think that's everything that's happening in the shop this week. So H&H. So as I said, Cheryl and I just got back from H&H, which is rapidly becoming the new spring quilt market. And so this is a trade show where all the vendors, all the fabric companies, all the manufacturers, all the new pattern designers, all the new gadget makers come together and showcase quilt shop owners like us, all the new things they have in the pipeline. H&H is super special over a quilt market because it's more than just quilts. It is all fiber crafts. So there was yarn and embroidery and needlepoint and costume making and cosplay and all sorts of very cool things that we don't normally see when we just go to quilt market and it's focused just on quilts. So Cheryl and I had a fantastic time. We did a bunch of learning sessions on our first day, and then we had like a 2-hour dinner where we were brainstorming all the crazy cool things we're going to do for the rest of the year. And then yesterday we spent all day on the show floor, and we met with all the vendors we know, and we were introduced to new vendors that are new to us that we had never met before. And so look for all sorts of fun new things that are going to be coming from Cotton Cuts. Maybe most of it will be in the quilting world, but we did have some connections with some other companies that are doing some other things that we will definitely be looking forward to bringing to you guys later this year. As a quick reminder, 6 months ago, that's how we were introduced to the Mystery 5-0 team. And they have like over 100 quilt shops that are participating in the program. Now we got to go and give testimonials and tell them how much you guys loved it. And so that program, when it launches in July, is going to be much, much bigger than anyone thought possible. We had manufacturers coming in and telling us about specific things they're doing for Mystery 5-0. You guys, I love these opportunities. I love the new things. And I love all the things that we're able to see because it keeps us fresh, right? It keeps us from doing the same thing over and over again. And so we will have much more to show you guys next week. The one key thing that I did want to share with you guys now and today was Cheryl and I spent a lot of time talking with the folks at Loose Ends. And so Loose Ends is a company, it's a not-for-profit that was created to help those families who might have had a crafter that has passed away, that have partially finished projects. And so this organization takes those partially finished projects and connects them with a community of finishers to help finish those projects on behalf of the loved one that has passed and then return it to the family. And so we spent a huge amount of time talking to their founder, to their head of social media, to their team about ways in which we could possibly help them. And so it was important enough to mention today, the day after we got back, the website is looseends.org. And one of the key reasons why there's some urgency is Loose Ends' primary supporter was Joann's. And so we all know what's happened with Joann's, right? And so they are now looking for opportunities to connect with makers and to connect with people who have supplies that could be donated to them to help finish these projects for all the people that they're trying to connect together. We all know the work we put into our quilts and into our projects. And we have a lot that are partially finished. And if something were to happen to us, we would definitely want those finished and kept as keepsakes within our family. And so this is something we wanted to make sure we communicated out to everyone. There is some urgency there. I encourage you guys to go to their website, looseends.org. Paula has it up on our YouTube and our Facebook feeds. But definitely go in. There's ways you can volunteer. There's ways you can donate to help continue to support this organization. Like I said, Joann's was their primary advertising space. So they had quilters that came into Joann's and crafters that they were connecting, and they need help because, as we all know, Joann's is not anymore. That was actually one of the key topics at the show, was what people are doing in face of Joann's. And so look for a couple things from us. This is probably just the first for now. Okay, so definitely check out Loose Ends. Now, we're on to our main question set. And so you guys have submitted these questions. I'm going to cheat, and I skimmed through them beforehand so I can kind of get a sense. You guys have some fantastic questions on here. I cannot wait to get to those. And then the questions that you guys have been submitting as well in the chat on these feeds. So our first question comes to us from Nicole from Katy, Texas. Will you discuss a few ways to label quilts and the elements to include on that label, like font size, etc., especially what you can do if you don't have an embroidery machine? Are there places that you can order labels? Thank you in advance. Okay. I feel like, Nicole, I could do a whole show on quilt labels, and I think this might be something we put into the queue and come back to. But essentially, there's no quilt police when it comes to a quilt label. So it can be literally anything you want it to be. And it can be something as simple as taking a scrap piece of fabric and taking a Prisma pen and writing your name and the date on it, right? It does not have to be overly embroidered. I mean, if you've got a sewing machine that has letters on it, this is a good opportunity to practice stitching letters in. You don't need a full embroidery machine. If your sewing machine has a lettering font on there, you can definitely use that. But labels can be something as simple as a scrap piece of muslin, white fabric, whatever you want, and Prisma pen. Please don't use permanent markers. That is one thing that I will encourage you not to do, because the permanent markers fade to green over time. So definitely use a Prisma pen, something that is a permanent color fast ink, and you can just write your name and date. You can also put a witty quote. It depends on who you're gifting it to. So I've given gifts to children, and I've put motivational children's quotes on there, right? Oh, the places you'll go type of thing. Or, you know, not everyone who wanders is lost. And so if there's a motivational quote that means something to you and to the person that you're gifting the quilt to, I would encourage you writing that on there or stitching it on there using your sewing machine. Now, font sizes. I think font size is completely up to you, as well as the font you use. And your sewing machine has settings to adjust the height, and if you've got the lettering, and it adjusts the font. I feel like it's really, I wouldn't necessarily put script on a kid's quilt, because then they would have to be an adult to be able to read it. And in this day and age, my 13-year-old doesn't know cursive, so I don't know if script is the right font choice. But, you know, it all depends on you and who you're gifting it to and how much you want to put on there. You can definitely order quilt labels online. There's a lot of stores on Etsy of people that have embroidery machines and embroidery companies, and will make you a custom label, and I'll put like your name and your city and your state on it, and we'll leave you space so you can handwrite information in. We do labels here that are kind of caring, but then also some that are witty and sassy that can just be stitched in, more like the tag on the back of a shirt, perhaps, that just kind of are funny. Sarah Hart's is a company. We just saw them at market. We've had a couple Sarah Hart's products over the time, and they do a lot of quilt labels and garment labels as well that you can stitch in. It's harder to personalize those because those are more like a label with a saying on it, like homemade or made with love, sweat, and tears. And so it's harder to personalize, but you can definitely just get a scrap piece of fabric and stitch that into the binding on your quilt when you're finishing it. And really, that's all that's needed. And I don't want anyone to think that you have to label your quilts. Like, that is definitely not a rule. You can. This is an option. I can tell you, I've definitely finished a quilt and been like, oh, I forgot to label it. It happens to everybody. And in those cases, when the quilt is finished, I've even resorted to getting a scrap of fabric, putting some fusible on it, handwriting a note on, you know, heat pressing it onto the back of the quilt and stitching around the outside. That's kind of the like last minute you've gotten to the end and you don't have any other options to actually put it in the binding or in the finishing of your quilt. I've done that as well. And I think I even talked last week about how sometimes people will take a single block on their pieced front and will either print it on a printer and put a message in there, or their hand write a note. You can do literally anything. The sky is the limit. There are so many options here for how to label your quilts. I think even if you were to do a search on like how to put a quilt label on my quilt, there's the how to put it in there and what you should put on it. There are so many resources on this. All right. So thank you for your question, Nicole. Hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully it's enough to make you dangerous and go get more information. All right, Liz from Dallas, Texas asks, I know there were issues announcing the backing for Flyaway Odyssey. Yes, I actually met with the president of the company yesterday, so we will talk more about this. Okay, I've been watching for updates on Facebook, but maybe I've overlooked something. Has there been any resolved, and when will Odyssey be able to purchase? Yes, so what we're going to do is we're going to email all the detectives that are participating in Odyssey, and we will give you guys a good hunk of time to get those backing kits ordered. Like I said, I met with the president at the company at Northcott yesterday. We had a long conversation about our Odyssey backings and how it keeps getting tripped up, and we get told yes, and then we get told no the next day. And so thankfully, the good thing about going to H&H is you get to have these conversations, you get to have these meetings. And so it is resolved. And so please be looking at an email from us early next week as we start working through these Odyssey backings. Now, backing for every other colorway, those orders have already been placed. So there is no more opportunity to order the pre-purchase backing, but we will have extra fabrics at the end in case you missed out. We, believe it or not, we want you guys to finish these projects. And so we give you lots of opportunities to get all the backing that you would like. All right. Linda from Peoria, Illinois asks, what's the one quilting tool you can't live without? Okay, so I would love for you guys to answer this. I will answer this. My quilting tool that I can't live without is not actually a quilting tool. It is one that I keep in a jar by my sewing machine everywhere I go, and it is actually a chopstick. And I know that that sounds very silly, but anytime I go to an Asian restaurant, they have nice chopsticks. My family knows that those are going to go like into my purse, provided they're free. I don't steal, people. I promise you, I don't steal the chopsticks. But I keep a chopstick around for 1,000 reasons. So for me, it's turning corners. Back when I used to do, stitching around the outside and flipping, it was a great corner turner. My kids do a lot of stuffies for their cousins, and so those are fantastic for turning corners. Anytime I need to turn a corner. Plus, in a pinch, it is a fantastic tool for foundation paper piecing. And so when I am doing foundation paper piece and I need to flip that fabric over and it, finger press isn't going to quite do it, that chopstick, you can just roll it right across the top. And it is a seam roller that is not necessarily the handle and expensive. And so I am a big, big, big chopstick fan. I have a container of them at my home. They are used for so many different things. Janice says her seam ripper is her best friend. Yes, the seam ripper is the insurance policy. It's the one that makes sure that your project is going to finish the way that you want it to finish. All right. So yes, I would love it if you guys helped Linda out. What is your one favorite quilting tool you can't live without? We are actually, Cheryl and I heard at H&H, and so we're going to start coming up with asking designers, asking partners. For example, Giuseppe, what are some of his quilting tools he can't live without? And we will be sharing those answers with you guys. All right, so Raj in San Diego asks, what's the most unexpected color combo that actually works in a quilt? Ooh. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys, what two colors have you put together that accidentally worked out? And so I feel like for me, I need to see it in order to be able to see it come together. And the ones that I am usually most surprised about are what I will call a strawberry lemonade, like a pink and a yellow. I am hard pressed to come up with pink and yellow on my own, but pink and yellow actually look really, really, really strong together. And I've been asked as part of challenges and as part of bees to put together pink and yellow, and it hurts. But then when I put it together, I'm like, oh, I really like that. Like, I wish I did more of that. I also do love the pink and the light blue and the dark blue. Like if you get a navy or a royal and you put it with a sky blue and a pink, those three colors, I wouldn't normally put together. And I know you said, sorry, unexpected color. Oh, unexpected color combo. This still meets the question. So I think those three colors together also work very, very well. Magenta and orange. JF Knits on Instagram. Magenta and orange can be surprisingly striking together. I think I will try it. I love magenta. Orange is a hard color for me to pair with. So I feel like if I paired it more with the magenta, that might work better. Purple and green. Yes, Joyce, purple and green. I'm a New Orleans girl. I love those two colors together. And then I even think our modern maker colors, right? Like olive green and pink is another one with gray that you wouldn't necessarily put together. I would also say instead of gray, brown also works very well. And I know brown is a hard color for many of us to sew with, but brown with the olive green and pink. I made a baby quilt for one of our family friends like 15 years ago. She loves that quilt. She is so much older now and she carries it with her everywhere. Orange is Erin's least favorite color, but surprised with what it goes with. Yeah, I feel like orange is my happy color. color, but I don't know what else to put it with. And I feel like that's why I don't sew enough with it. Yes, brown and green. I know, so Terry. It's okay. Brown and green. I like brown and green. I can get behind it. I'm not going to see the green in your quilt, Terry. So I'm so very sorry about that. All right. Emily from Asheville, North Carolina asks, how do you come up with the names for the puzzle mystery quilt colorways? All right. So we do that in the past 4 or 5 or so. We let you guys pick the colorway. So we pick the theme. We see the finished puzzle mystery quilt design, and we pick the title of the quilt. And then you guys get to pick the names. And so we come up with a family of names that we solicit from employees here. We solicit online. We search, we hunt, we peck. We use ChatGPT in most recent times, and we come up with a whole list of names. And then we say, okay, these 3 names we think will go with this colorway, and then you guys get to vote. In order to do that, you have to go to cottoncutsfabric.com, or not cottoncutsfabric.com, to our Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group. And we post the color wheel, and then we ask you guys to vote. We tally them all up, and then that becomes that colorway's name. We have been known to say, hey, I think this colorway name, like flamingo in this last one, it could be flamingo, it could be freebird. We don't know which. So once you guys vote, there could be another colorway that goes over to the other side. Let's see. Pink and brown is another positive. Let's see. Please do the votes as polls. Okay. So I will get Paula to take a look at that. I think the challenge with the polls is I don't think we can post an image of the quilt and have a poll. Paula is saying correct off to the side. So I think it's because we can't show you the colorway to do the poll. So maybe we'll come up with something else. I know one of our interns is coming back next week. Maybe we'll ask him to help us out with that, is making it a poll. I'm a big fan of a poll versus the listing out the names, but we will see. Let's see here. Gary from Boise, Idaho. What's the biggest quilting mistake you've ever made, and how did you fix it? Okay, so for me personally, mistakes, right? Mistakes are all in the eye of the beholder, and it's a matter of, if you are sewing together a quilt and you accidentally rotate something the wrong way, is it worth the effort to fix it? All those good stuff. So I think we've all made that measure mistake. My biggest mistake, and I've talked about this previously, I was doing a book shop hop for Sheila Christensen, our puzzle mystery quilt designer's first book. I picked out a pattern. I was so excited. I was going to make this amazing kind of hex. It was trapezoids. They were trapezoid shapes, and it was going to form around, and all the trapezoids were going to come together. And I fussy cut out all these Tula pink raccoon eyes, and it was so cool. And I made all the pieces of my trapezoid, and I went to sew them together. And it was the first time I'd ever pressed seams open. I was excited. I was like, this is coming together beautifully. I've never sewn trapezoids. All my seams are lining up. Let's celebrate. I sewed all my triangles together all the way around to make my hexagon. And when I laid the quilt on a surface, it made a parachute. So, like when you were kids and you used to like have the parachute in PE, and you would flip it up and then everyone would get inside it and make a dome. Yes, that's what my quilt did. It made a dome in the center of this quilt. And I had just a little bit of pressure. Like normally I would have just gotten upset and walked away and come back to it. Never. But when I had to have it finished because I was part of this hop, and I had to have a blog post with the finished quilt and all those pretty photos that come with it. So, you cry for a minute as you've got this parachute sitting on your ironing board. And then I had to get really, really, really darn creative. And so I was pinning it and stretching it and pulling it and doing all the things you're not supposed to do, but I needed that darn quilt to lay flat. Got it wet, stretched it, got it wet, stretched it, got it, starched it. And then finally what I ended up having to do was use adhesive spray basting. And I just literally like glued it to the batting, and I tried to press it as flat as I could. And you guys, it actually, after all this work, I think I spent more time stretching, pulling, ironing, steaming, moving, shifting, all the things. It actually came out really darn flat, and it looked really cool, and it hangs in my sewing room. I've showed it to you guys. I think I showed it to you a couple lives ago. But I love this quilt. Tula Pink actually signed it over one of the raccoon eyes. But it was an absolute colossal disaster at the time. And I did all the things you're not supposed to do, but man, that quilt does lay pretty darn flat today, and it looks great. Let's see here. Janice is saying pink and green or peach and green look lovely together. All right, I will try those. I will try those lighter colors with green and see how it works. Let me see here. Mark from Tulsa, Oklahoma says, if you weren't quilting, what other creative hobby would you dive into? Okay, so Mark, the super secret is that most of us are multi-crafters. We are, shiny squirrel. We jump from hobby to hobby. Some of us are only in on quilting. Me, I like to quilt, but I also do like to crochet. And so in the shop, we've started our show and shares on Monday again, where we have all of our folks that are bringing in whatever projects they're working on whatever craft. And so I was able to share this Afghan that I am making, that I am crocheting. I started it when I was in Hawaii a couple weeks ago, and I'm feeling vibes of a 1970s basement in it. And so I'm just putting all the loud, bright, there's no real plan. And I feel like, to me, I am diving into crochet. After the past couple days, there's that little bug that wants to learn how to knit, but I feel like that's a rabbit hole that once I go down, there's no way out. But for me, it's crochet. And I know for a lot of other people, it's cross stitch and embroidery and needlepoint and all. And evidently after the show, it's punch hook, because that's now back again, is the punch hook. And I feel like we're going to start doing the rugs again. What is it, Cheryl? The latch hook rugs. Latch hook rugs are probably coming soon. Okay. Let's see here. Pamela from Boston is asking, how do you decide what to include in the membership boxes each month? Okay. So for us, those boxes are planned out 6-9 months in advance. So for all of our membership boxes, we're looking at collections today that you guys won't see for 6 to 9 months. And so we have a planning calendar, we have all sorts of documents, we have Excel spreadsheets, we have a plan. So we know exactly what we've ordered from whom, how much, and when it's coming. And so for us, we have, in all this planning, we're going to be able to see what looks good together. We see what we've shipped before it. We see what we shipped after it. And so when we pick the collections, we want to make sure it's balanced. It's not just a point in time. It's not just what are we shipping in the month of May. It's what did we ship in April? What did we ship in March? What are we going to ship in June? And what are we going to ship in July? Because we want to make sure there's some variety, that there's some mix, that not everything is the same every month. And so, for us, it's all about long-term planning. There's not a moment where we're like, hey, what are we shipping in May? It's May 8th, I think it is. It's May 8th. No, we know what we're shipping in May 6 months ago. And so that's all planned out. We just need our manufacturers to get it to us, and then we can get it to you guys. All right. Tanya from Reno, Nevada says, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened during a live show? Okay, so the first thing I thought of when I thought of this was when we had a PMQ reveal and Ian showed us his quilt and the whole stand came crashing down. And so we didn't actually get to see his quilt. It was hysterical. He had this whole blue screen set up, and he was in it. And it's live television, guys. And so in that situation, you just never really know what's going to happen. I would say the second funniest thing that happened was we announced Spirit a couple years ago. And I had the kids did a daily live with me, and we got all dressed up, and there was a theme. And I was talking about soccer. And so Lincoln, my 14-year-old, is a huge soccer fan. And I was talking about the MLS and the Premier League and La Liga. And I said, Bundesliga. And I mispronounced the German soccer league, which is funny because most of our players here in St. Louis are from this league. And Lincoln fell over laughing. And to this day, he still teases me about how I mispronounced this major German soccer league. And so I feel like that was funny at the time. And it's had the longest legs for sure of everything we have done. All right, I'm going to jump to the comments, and I'm going to take a look at the questions you guys have here. So give me a second as I look at the questions. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments where you're looking. I'm seeing brown and wine as a fantastic color combination. That's fantastic. Lime and teal. What marker do you use on your fabrics? I love the heat erase pens. My favorite tool is the rotary cutter. So what marker do you use on your fabrics? So Mitzi, this question, it depends on where that is going to be showing in my quilt. So if I am doing something that I know I'm going to be cutting over it, and I'm going to be it's going to be on the inside. It'll be part of the inside of my quilt. I use whatever pen is handy. And I know that's probably the wrong answer, but I use something that's not permanent, that's not going to bleed. But if I'm using it just as a cut line, or if it's just a stitch line, it's going to be on the inside. It's whatever is most convenient and easy to use. If it's something that's going to be on outside and visible and permanent, I use the black Prisma pens. Those are my go-to. We use those a lot here in the shop. Anytime we're signing anything on the outside, it's a black Prisma pen. If it is something where I am marking on my quilt for a quilting pattern, Mitzi, this is where I get super nervous, because once I put that pen, I am worried that it's going to be permanent. And I've tried all the erasable pens, all the ones that erase with steam. I've used some that are air erasable. Dritz makes an air erasable pen that's great, but once you mark it, you got to get your stitching on it within like 20 minutes. Otherwise it's gone because it erases once it hits air. I would say, you know, anything on the inside, I use whatever I have. Anything on the outside that's permanent, Prisma pens. I have not found a great solution for marking on my quilts that's a heat erase, because I've had that where you put it in there, you trace it, you use your heat erase to get it off, and then all of a sudden it gets cold and it comes back. That is definitely a terrifying moment for sure. Let's see here. Erin is talking about using pens for her Cricut machine. Jan is asking, I'd like to know what was the most challenging thing about starting and keeping cotton cuts, and what is the most rewarding thing? Okay, so the most challenging thing about starting cotton cuts is I feel like it's, let me see, what's the most challenging thing about starting the company? So every day early on, you wake up and you think you have a 50% chance of success and a 50% chance of fading into oblivion and not having a business anymore. And so that fueled me very early on. Is a 50% chance of success, or a 50%, you know, becoming a viral success and going crazy, and then a 50% chance of going out of business. And so early on, that was definitely the most challenging thing, was every day waking up and deciding what side of the fence you wanted to fall on. I also do think in the funny story category, right? When I'm starting out, I have not a lot of money. I printed out these stickers that had it like, I love it when my husband ignores my fabric stash. And I know there's some people in the comments here that still have theirs from a long time ago, but we gave away a free sticker. All you had to do is go to our website, give us your email, and you got a free sticker. And I had like 10,000 of these printed up. And I was so excited because I was going to give away 10,000 stickers and 10,000 emails, and it was going to be great. Except for I misspelled the word fabric. And so, like, guys, like, what does Cotton Cuts do? And I misspelled the word fabric, and my heart sank because I had not a lot of money. I had to get them immediately reprinted. And so for me early on, learning that if you make a mistake, you need to accept the mistake and then also fix it and get right back up and keep going. And so that was part of the biggest challenges, I think, is running any business, is when you make the mistake, is how are you going to fix it and keep going? To me, the most rewarding thing now is definitely seeing the joy in the things that you guys create with the products that we're putting out, right? With all of our memberships, with all the things that we do. I love seeing the inspiration that lights up in you guys. And I love that you guys continue to support our crazy, quirky business here. We're not, when I go to the H&H, right, we're not in any of these traditional boxes. We've kind of created our own box, and I love that you guys continue to support us as we continue to do things that you're not getting anywhere else. Let me see here. For the Earth Day Challenge, Stacy's asking, can you submit both a small and a large? You can submit as many projects as you want, Stacy. We're not going to stop you. There's no limits to the entries. The voting on this is going to be from people around you, people on the internet. And so you can submit as many projects as you want. If you're highly motivated and you want to do 3, 4, and 5, that's more power to you. The prizes are awesome and amazing. I'm not going to discourage you from submitting more than one project. Let's see here. Love Loathingly is asking, will we be getting a dedicated Q&A for Under the Sea? Yes, yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. So let's see here. So she's asking about fabric choices. And so I believe that's coming up either next week or the week after. And what we're going to do is we'll do the same kind of look at the color wheels and give you some information about what fabric is more predominant, one's a little more background, kind of what goes together and what you should consider when you're selecting the colorways. We'll also be talking about border kits at that point. We've gotten lots of questions about border kits, and it's going to be a great time to talk about it. I'm looking, I don't see, let's see. Oh, a question. Will the winners be announced for the Flat Nancy Wild West Puzzle Mystery Quilt? And so we have to wait a month from when Wild West finished, so that way we can see everyone's finished. We want to give you a month to do each clue, and that includes clue 10. And so the winners will be announced for the Flat Nancy in a month. So it'll be the end of this month. There's a deadline. I think it's the last Friday this month is a deadline for all the Flat Nancy winners to get their last entry in. And then we'll give all the individual month winners as well as the final grand prize winner ahead of or slightly in time with the launch of Under the Sea. All right, I'm going to scroll to the bottom here. Can you iron on air erase pens? And so Joyce is asking, going back to the, what do I use to mark on my pen? So I have that air erase pen that I got from Dritz. You can iron on it. I've never had it come back, but I have had it disappear very quickly. And so I had a project when I was like, oh, this pen is amazing. Like, I'm just going to put it on here, and this is my quilting lines, and this is awesome. And so then I marked up a bigger project, and I was just stitching along, and about a third of the way through, my lines were gone. And so then I had to redo it again. So I feel like with the air erase pens, you need to make sure you stay in a smaller area that you can definitely finish stitching before they are completely gone. All right. You are very welcome, Beth. Does anyone have any other questions? I think I covered everything on the list. I'm going to give you guys till the count of perhaps 5-ish, 8-ish, to ask any other questions. This is a fantastic opportunity. If you've got a burning question, it's an AMA day. All right. So while you guys are coming up with any other questions, I'm going to ask you the giveaway question. So all you have to do is find this video on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Instagram and answer this question. This question comes to us, I believe it came from Sherry, who asks, if you could sew a quilt with any celebrity quilter, past or present, who would it be and why? And so just find this video, answer that question. If you could sew a quilt with any celebrity quilter, past or present, who would it be and why? And so hold on, Jana, I'll come back to that question in a second. So for me, I'm trying to think if I could sew with any celebrity quilter, who would it be and why? I feel like maybe Tula Pink might be the answers. I'm thinking current quilter, but then there's also like Florence. I don't know. There has to be someone out there. I think if you guys are looking at this, who would you want to sew with, past or present, and who would it be and why? Maybe it's perhaps even a quilter that sewed, for the, I don't even know. I'm struggling to come up with answers at this. So I will let you guys do a fantastic, better job than I can at this point. Jana's asking, what happened to the misspelled stickers? So those were promptly thrown away, Jana. And what actually happened with that is, so we took the stickers that were misspelled and we threw them away. And we had to get them reprinted. And then what happened is our entry got picked up by a whole bunch of these websites that scour the internet for free stuff. And then we ended up giving away 25,000 stickers at the end of the day after we threw away the 10,000 that were not great. So it was a Thanksgiving that my family will never remember because it's the Thanksgiving we stuffed thousands of envelopes with stickers. All right. Will there be quilt labels for flyaway? Let's see here. So quilt labels for flyaway. It is not our plan right now to have quilt labels for flyaway. We're giving that a little bit of a break. Plus the company that manufactures it is outside the United States. And so we want to make sure that we have a steady supply for supply chain to make sure we can get labels to you guys that you will love. Cindy's asking, she's finishing Floral States. Will there be another similar program? Yes, that is something that Cheryl and I were working on while we were at H&H. So we will have another similar program to Floral States coming up. Look for that towards the end of the summer as we get through Under the Sea and as we get through Mystery 5.0, we will be launching another similar program to Floral States. I love that you guys loved that. Linda is saying she would look at Jenny Doan. Gold print fabric, wash and age well. So I think it depends on the metallic overlay that the manufacturer and the metallic overlay. There's a lot, I would say when gold was first printed on it, like 15, 20 years ago, that stuff flaked off like nobody's business. You run your hand across it and you would come back with gold flakes. The gold print we're finding today, if it's got a metallic inlay on it, it usually is more wash fast, it's more color fast, and it has been staying longer. Our team has done a lot of work with metallic inlay on batiks, and we have not had any problems with it coming off of late. I feel like the manufacturing process is getting better. So if you do see a print, and I know they're a big fan on Ruby Star and on Ruby Star, that they do like to do a lot of gold inlay. It has not come off on us in about 10 or 15 years. Andrea from Arkansas Gal got a shout out. Ian and Becca. Let's see, your Tula Pink. Let's see, your Andrea from Arkansas Gal. Okay, fantastic. So find this video wherever you find it. Tell us which celebrity, past, present, or even perhaps in the future, perhaps you want to sew with your children when they're older. Who would it be and why? Don't forget to mark your calendars for Under the Sea, May 30th. That is coming quickly. We're already at May 8th. My gosh, you guys, we are moving through this month and into the next. Jana says she would like to sew with Paula. I think, Jana, that would be a lot of fun. You guys would spend a lot of time talking. It would be fantastic. All right. So that is it for me, gang. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. If you have any other burning questions, go to cottoncuts.com/live and send those in, and we will answer them next week. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Have a great weekend, and we will see you guys soon. Bye now. And cut. Thank you so much for watching our video. We have so much fun making these, and we hope that you were both delighted and inspired by what you just watched. This video was sponsored by Cotton Cuts. Cotton Cuts is your one stop for all the best fabric and thread memberships. Love fabric? We've got you covered. Love thread? We've got you covered. We get that no two quilters are cut from the same cloth, which is why our memberships are as unique as you. We also have the largest block of the month in the world. Over 4,000 detectives solve our puzzle mystery quilts every year, and you can join them. Simply go to cottoncuts.com to learn more about all the awesome and fun things that we're doing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to make sure you get all of our new fresh content every time it comes out. Thank you so much. Happy sewing enthusiasts, and we will see you soon. Bye now.